Your mother could not read English? That is right. Who read it to her? We all read it to her. I did. Were you convinced that she understood what was in the writing? I think she understood. Do you recall that day of the week this was? I think it was a Sunday. I'm not sure. I wouldn't swear on it. Your mother had been very sick, had she not? Well, she always was ailing. As a matter of fact, at the time of the trial in Norristown, which lasted several days and concluded on April 10th when she was in court in a wheelchair, wasn't she? Yes, sir. While she lived at Alfred's home, was she bedridden or confined to her room? No, she used to go down in the parlor most of the time watching television. What was the occasion for the visit on this particular day? Well, they always come down on weekends. Maybe every 2 or 3 weeks they would come down. How long did they remain there? All day. What time did they arrive? About 9 or 10 or 11 o'clock, no special time. In the morning? Yes, sir. What time did they leave that evening? Pretty late at night, 10:30 or 11 o'clock. Who was present? My children, my aunt. Tell the names of everybody who was present in your home on that day. Well, my mother, my brother Alfred, his wife. What is his wife's name? Alberta. And son Michael. How old is he? He is about 6 now, I think, and 2 daughters. How old are they? 10 and 13. How long had your mother been there with your brother Alfred and your sister-in-law, Alberta, before a conversation took place as to this paper? I think we started to talk about it at the dinner table while we were eating dinner. That was about what time? Around noontime, I guess. You ate your dinner during the midday? Yes. This paper was written in your home, or had it been prepared before? No, it was written in my home. In your presence? Yes, sir. By your sister-in-law? Yes, sir. Did she have anything from which she copied? Not that I recall. She just made it up out of her head? Well, my brother was telling her what my mother intended to do, and she wrote it out. He didn't dictate it to her, did he? Not that I know of. In other words, whatever appears on that paper came out of her own mind and out of her own knowledge. Well, my mother would tell us what she wanted to do, and we would tell her what to write down. I repeat my question. The writing which appears on that paper was not dictated to your sister-in-law by anyone, was it? I think my brother told her what to write down. Your brother told her what your mother wanted to do? Is that the story? Yes. Did your sister-in-law copy that language from any paper that you saw, or did you get it out of her own head? No. Did she get it out of her own head? My brother told her what to say, what to write down. Did he tell her every word to write down? I don't recall that, sir. You recall that she did write it in? Yes, sir. Did she write it in your presence? Yes, sir. Was your brother there at the time, too? Yes, sir. Why is it you can recall all of that, but you cannot recall whether he told her to write every word? I don't know about every word. Did he tell her most of the words to write? I guess so. Will you answer that question, please? What is that, sir? Did he tell her some words? Yes, I guess he did. Do you remember what the weather was like on that day? No. You don't remember whether it was clear or raining? No. Do you remember whether the sun was shining? I don't remember, sir. Your mother could not write English or understand English, could she? No, she couldn't write Italian either. She couldn't sign her name. She had to write a mark. That is right. On numerous occasions in former years, she had always made a mark to indicate her wishes. Is that correct? Yes. That paper upon which that writing appears came from where? I think from the school kids' books. One of your children's school books? Yes, sir. On this date, your mother was pretty feeble, wasn't she? Feeble? Yes. Didn't she have to use a cane to get about? I don't remember. She used a cane, but I don't think she had one that day. I don't remember right. She could have had. Did she have to be helped in the house? Oh, yes, up the steps, always had. Did she have to be helped out of the automobile? Certainly. This signing occurred about 11 days after the conclusion of the trial in Norristown. Is that correct? I don't remember. You don't remember when the trial took place? I don't recall whether this happened before the trial or after the trial. I couldn't tell you that I know this happened, but when, I don't know. Had the visit made by Alfred and your mother and his wife been planned, or was it a sudden visit? No, they always called up. They called you beforehand? Yes. Said they were coming up? Yes. I'm not quite clear on this, but will you go through this and tell exactly how the paper was executed by your mother, how the witnesses signed, and what part of the house it took place in, and what occurred? Well, we were talking about it. Where were you sitting when you were talking? In the kitchen, eating. In the dining room, eating. We were talking about it. I don't know who suggested writing it down and making it legal-like so nobody could touch it. It was somebody who suggested that? I believe somebody suggested that. I might have done it myself. I don't recall that. Go on. My mother told me of all the trouble Alfred had gone through, so that must have been during or after the trial. He went through a lot of trouble and expense. She thought it would leave him that money in the bank, and that I shouldn't get mad about it. I told her I was not mad. I said I wouldn't go through what he went through for 5 times that money. What happened after that conversation? When we suggested to her to put it in writing, how about getting a lawyer? She didn't want any part of any lawyers. Tell us what transpired on that occasion. That is what happened. She didn't want a lawyer. Go ahead from there. We didn't know what to do about it. Writing it out ourselves wasn't going to make it legal as far as we were concerned. I thought somebody had to be there outside the family. My sister-in-law wrote it up. She had the legal knowledge? Legal knowledge? You said somebody with legal knowledge ought to draw it? Somebody outside of the family ought to see that. Did your sister-in-law leave the table? No. She stayed at the table where you were eating? She stayed at the table. Who got her a piece of paper? I don't know that. Somebody brought her a piece of paper. Is that the story? The kids' tablets were all around the place. She got a piece of paper, and while you were eating, she wrote down the language which appears on that paper. We were finished eating, I think. Was it still at the dinner table? It was. How's that?
Fast. How fast was that?
That was 2:40.
It was fast, but wasn't that fast.
No.
Software says 195.
Does it? Just a minute. It's hard to tell because for some reason my stopwatch fades out.
After 5 minutes, it turns off. Screen turns off.
Why is that?
It's battery. If the screen just stayed on indefinitely, it wouldn't last. Because
Well, anyway, it was good. Did you get that pretty well?
so.